Friday about 6 a.m. Driving into work now. Ready for the weekend to get started. Just looking forward to ending the week on a high note. This week has been kind of crazy early on, and finally kind of finally kind of getting it reined in here as we get to the end of the week. Work was kind of busy for the front half of the week, and then yesterday we finally started to kind of just slow down a little bit. And then personally, you guys know me, I keep myself busy constantly, always in different projects. The book's coming along nicely. And then, of course, this podcast, I've started to interview new people. And I guess I should talk about that a little bit because, some of you have come at me like, hey, I really like hearing about these other people. It's cool, but what about Gary's updates? Because this is the Gary Cantrell podcast, Gary's podcast. We're not hearing about Gary. And actually, I feel a little bit guilty because a lot of times as I'm talking to these other folks, it's that challenge because you want to talk to them about their journey, but at the same time, I feel the need to give examples from my journey to kind of set up questions to, bounce off them with. And I feel like there's probably a few people that listen and are like, geez, Gary, just shut up about yourself. I'm here to hear about the other person. So there's kind of that struggle, it's a struggle of making everybody happy, and you're never going to make everybody happy. So you just got to try to make the most people happy that you can. And that's my plan. Like, I just want to provide the best podcast possible that I can to you guys. So I feel like there's a ton of value in talking to these other people because you hear my journey, kind of my background, where I come from, what I'm about, and I continue to share that with you, including right now. But I think that, if you hear it from just one perspective, and this happens a lot, right? I mean, we listen to a podcast from the perspective of a person, and we kind of start to look through their lens so much. We kind of get wrapped up in that podcast. And hey, look, I'm happy if you listen to this and you get hooked on it and you're happy with, kind of the stuff I say and you get really hooked into it. But I think to keep my own self in check, I've got to have other people on this show to talk about their experiences. So that's kind of where the idea really was born. It was like, let's hear what other people go through. We hear my experience. You hear the experience of Gary. So now it's the chance to hear the experience of other people. And then we can kind of compare, okay, is it similar? Is it different? And I think that for a lot of the aspects, of course, it's going to be different, but you may be surprised at how many things can be similar in these journeys because we're all kind of going through, if you're in a weight loss journey, which I think a lot of you that listen to my podcast are, that's how you found me, right? So I think a lot of us go through some of the same stuff. We just, we just have different ways to get to the destination. So I think there's so much value in bringing other people on and talking to them, and I'm so happy. The first week I talked to this girl, Aloha, so nice, and hearing about her journey, I really got a lot out of that. And then the next week I talked to a guy, Justin, another guy I got a ton of material from him in terms of hearing about his journey. a lot of content from him to you and to me. I mean, I think there's so much in what he talked about and his journey, and he and I starting weights were not too far off. And this guy, for him, I wake up every morning and he's got videos of him in the gym posting. I talk about this on the podcast, but like, I get inspired by that stuff. I look at what Aloha's done. I get inspired by her posts. I get inspired by a lot of people's posts on Instagram. That's why I follow so many people on there, because I get so freaking inspired. And the more people's stuff that I see, the more inspired I get to keep going. Like, that's really what it's all about for me. So that's the good stuff. Now, week 3 is coming up of the Instagram interviews. It'll drop on Wednesday the 25th, and I'm talking to Rachel. And Rachel's somebody I've been following for about a month or so, and Rachel's got an incredible story as well. So I think that, like the interview with Aloha and the interview with Justin, there is a ton of value in this interview. I think you guys will learn a lot. I learned a lot, and Rachel's just so easy to talk to as well. Her personality really, really shines. I told her, like, on a scale of 100, her personality is 1,000, and I think that really shows through in this interview that's coming up in a couple of days. I almost wanted to drop it early, but I don't do that. I have a schedule that I follow, but I almost dropped the interview early. That's how blown away I was by this interview. This has happened now 3 times where I talk to somebody from Instagram, I get super inspired, I get blown away, and I want to release the interview early, but I release on a schedule. And that is so important to me, is to maintain a schedule. You guys now know this is when I can expect the podcast to drop, and it's on Wednesday morning. So I try to make sure that I uphold that, that integrity of the schedule. Now, I know some of you will say, well, Gary, gee, you've missed a couple of weeks here and there. Yes, I have. There has been many weeks where I felt that there wasn't enough to warrant a podcast episode or an update, so I did not give an update, and I apologize for that. I realize that there's a portion of you out there that would rather hear from me either way. I mean, some of you tell me, God, I could listen to you read the freaking phone book. I love this podcast so much, and I appreciate that. I mean, I really do, but there's just some weeks where I don't want to torture others who maybe kind of listen casually, where they might say, well, gee, you don't have much going on this week, so you went on anyway and you bored me to tears. Now I'm unsubscribing from your podcast. Again, it kind of goes back to that whole, you want to please everybody. You're not going to please everybody, but you try anyway. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm trying different things. I said from episode 1, and you can go back to episode 1 and reference this because it holds true, and I'm trying to be consistent to it. And that is that we are making this up on the fly. I'm not a professional podcaster. I'm not a professional anything. I am figuring it out, throwing stuff on the wall, seeing what sticks, seeing what you guys like, what you don't like. The last thing you want is to be listening to a podcast that does the same exact thing every week, and if it's not what you like, you get bored and you unsubscribe. So we change things, we make adjustments on the fly, because I never want to get stuck in a routine formula that just goes on and on and on and on. I don't want to do that to you guys. So we change it up. This is a change up. This, what I'm doing right here. I've got my podcasting equipment. I'm in my car right now driving to work. Now, you guys might be a little worried, but don't worry. I've got this recorder sitting on the dash, and I'm just talking to you. I'm driving. My eyes are facing the road. I'm not distracted. I'm just talking. Like, sometimes I sit in the car by myself and I talk to myself. Why not record it, right? Like, let's change it up. Let's change up the format a little bit. Let's shake it up. There's the word I'm looking for. Let's shake it up. So that's what I'm doing. So week 3 of the Instagram interviews is coming at you in a couple of days. I couldn't be more excited to share it with you. I'm so freaking pumped about these interviews. I'm talking to a few other people who will be coming on in the coming weeks. I recorded a podcast with a guy named Eddie Lindenstein. I know him on Instagram as @LindenSwole. We are doing each other's podcasts. He interviewed me for his podcast last week, which is going to drop in a couple of weeks. And then I'm going to get Eddie on once he's done having a kick-ass time in California. We're going to get him on the podcast and talk about him on this podcast. And then there's a few other people that I'm talking to right now that are going to come on the podcast soon. And I get so excited to talk to these people and figure out what makes them tick. What's their journey all about? What drives them to be the best them that they can be? Like, I talk about that on my podcast, right? Be the best you that you can be. Well, now I'm hearing from other people what drives them, what keeps them going. That's what it's all about to me. And then, yes, on weeks where I have updates, I'm going to come on my podcast. I'm going to bring my portable recorder in my car, set it up on the dash, and I'm going to start talking to you. And we'll see kind of where things are at. You know, we'll see where Gary's updates are at and where Gary stands. And then now you can hear from me, you can hear from other people, and you're getting the best of both worlds ultimately, because that's super important to me. What else? I'm super hyped up. It's 6:00 in the morning, and I'm actually more fired up early in the morning than I am. You know, that's the other thing too. So when I used to record the podcast on Tuesday evenings by myself, God, I'd be yawning, I'd be tired. And now I'm just so freaking fired up. You guys are probably like, holy crap, where's Gary's head at? So it's Friday. I'm feeling good. I'll probably release this today, right? Like today or tomorrow, and just put it out there. And we'll kind of see what goes on. I'm going to try a slightly different format with this podcast, I think. And then we'll do, you know, we'll try different things and kind of see what you guys like and what you don't like. But so what if I do this podcast where I talk about my whole day? Okay, so recording in the car this morning, right? Maybe I cut it on at lunch when I go to lunch. Then I cut it on again when I get off of work and I'm on my way to the gym. And then maybe I cut it on one more time when I'm done with my workout, and then you can hear about my workout, right? Like maybe that's the format. So I'm going to try that and see if that works. And then we'll see kind of, you know, again, it's all about trying different things. It's all about figuring out what's going to work. And I'm so open to that. Like my eyes are wide open to new ideas, new possibilities. I really love interviewing other people, though. And I hope that some of you guys that want to hear more about my stuff and less of other people, I hope you guys can respect that I really enjoy talking to other people, and it's going to become a part of this podcast where we're going to hear from other people. We're going to hear their journeys as well, because I think it's so important as a community to just hear different perspectives. It's about 12:05. Just getting ready to go to lunch, and it's been kind of a slow day thus far. Just got little projects keeping me busy throughout the day. But yeah, headed off to grab a quick bite to eat. Subway is like my favorite place to eat. Ultimately, I love Subway. I mean, there's just something to be said about Subway. You know, it's just kind of like the thing with Subway is that I've really learned to appreciate their salads. Their salads are amazing. Like, if you go for their subs, and their subs are fine. I mean, they're not top of the line. They're not high end. They're decent. But if you go for their salads, amazing. The amount of stuff you get, like, I don't know if anybody's ever had this. For me, the thing was always, I love the subs, but I wish they didn't skimp on the toppings. You know, like the tomatoes, the lettuce, and all that stuff. So when you get the salad, you're just getting a bowl with nothing but all the good toppings. And you're getting the meats and everything too. You're just getting everything but the bread. I mean, they give you croutons, which is fine, but you're getting, you know, all the good stuff in a bowl. And the amount of food that they give you, like, I don't need to eat for the rest of the day, honestly. Like, I don't need anything until, like, later in the evening. Like, I get my Subway salad and I'm good. Like, they're on point with the Subway salad. I know people maybe don't like Subway subs, and I get it, but Subway salads are legit, let me tell you. So I go there, you know, a couple times a month for lunch at work. They're right up the road. It's just something quick. The only thing I don't like about when I leave work is we've got this intersection that has no traffic light. They're working on getting one, by the way. But there's no traffic light. 9 times out of 10, I have to turn left because I'm usually leaving to go home. When I go to Subway, I go right, which is great. By the way, this is just mindless rambling. Don't mind me. I'm just adding context here. But it's, you know, it's a mess because there's so much construction. Like right now, I'm looking at a 1 lane in each direction road, and there's construction to the left and to the right of me. Like, they are building out. Like, if you've ever been to Washington, D.C., or if you listen to me and you live locally, you get it, right? The Metro Rail. You know all about the Metro Rail. It's a mess and whatnot. But they're expanding the Metro out to Dulles Airport. My day job is right in the back of Dulles Airport. And the Metro is building a rail yard right behind the airport, right across the street from where I work. Amazing. They're putting a rail yard. It's where, you know, the trains come in at night and they service them and all that stuff. But then also on this road that I drive down every day, which is called 606, they're widening the road, and they've been trying to widen this road for the last, 2 years, I feel, which is crazy. Every day what happens is when I have to get out on this road, whether it's to go home or if I'm making a right and going and getting lunch or something, there's always traffic on this road. Today it's not as bad, but on a lot of days, it's backed up for miles. Crazy. Again, all I was doing was documenting where I'm going, and now you've got the life history of the road I drive on to go to work and go to lunch. Crazy, I know. But like I mentioned earlier, this is really all about shaking up the format. Like, I might try this 2 or 3 times, and you'll say, well, gee, that really sucked. Okay, we'll try something different. I felt, you know, just trying something new, trying something different, shaking up the format for when you hear from me, so it's not just, oh, here's the weight loss update, oh, here's this and that. Trying to really put you in my mind so you can kind of understand, like, where my head's at, where I'm coming from. So I hope this is interesting, and if it's not, I'm sorry. Speaking of what's in my mind, you know, I've just been thinking a lot lately about upping this podcast game. I've been wanting to for so long to figure out how to continually shake the format. In 2007 is when I first got into podcasting through live radio. The podcasting was just more or less the add-on feature to the live radio show. You know, if you missed the live show, then you could listen on demand via the podcast, and the technology was still new to me at the time in 2007, and I was doing radio focused on professional wrestling, and so things were much different then. And then I would mix in reality in my own life within the show, and it really just confused the hell out of people. But I was trying to be different. I was trying to do something different because all the wrestling shows were all the same. They'd come on with the wrestling entrance themes, and they would just, wrestling entrance theme, and then they'd talk about a pay-per-view or a Raw TV show, and they'd bitch and complain, and I would do a lot of the same stuff, but I tried to be different about it at least. And God, I was listening to so much Howard Stern at the time that I wanted to be like a shock jock, and it just didn't work out. After 3 years, I was burned out and done. So there you go. So my podcasting life has evolved over the last 10 years. It started out as a live internet call-in radio show where I myself had to call in. Like, this quality that you hear me on now is far superior to the quality of the Blog Talk Radio website, which was like a fraction of the audio bit rate that you would hear me on there. Honestly, it's crazy. And now I'm able to do the audio at such a higher bit rate. And this is not new technology, for the record. Like, you could have done a podcast like this in 2007 quite easily. Number one, if you knew about it, which I didn't know about it. I was just kind of like Googling and trying to figure things out. And then the part two of that is if you had really good equipment. That was kind of the other part. But you need money for that. And I had zero budget. I was just like, how can I get online and talk today? So I just found out what works. And that's how this ultimately goes. So whether you're in a weight loss journey, you want a podcast, maybe you want to be a YouTube vlogger, or whatever the situation may be, you start with zero budget. You start with the stuff that you have available to you, and then you make that work. You turn it into something successful. And once you've done that, then you can eventually get a budget to get better equipment, and you can make your stuff sound better, ultimately. That's the goal. It can be done. It just takes time. It takes time. It takes money. It's absolutely an investment. But anything that's worth investing in, you go for it, right? Like, if you really feel a podcast, then go for a podcast. If you really feel YouTube, go for YouTube. If you really feel a weight loss journey, feel that weight loss journey. If you can't afford the gym, cool. Go out and go for a walk outside. Now it's kind of getting colder, so you might want to put on a jacket, but depending on when you do it, you could get out there and start. The one thing, I posted a thing yesterday on my Instagram at Gary Cantrell, was that we're never guaranteed tomorrow. The thing with life is that we're never guaranteed tomorrow. 3 years ago, I nearly died. I've talked about this on my old podcast, so if you're new, sorry. I talked about it at length. I'll give you the short version because, time is valuable and I don't want to spend 20 minutes talking about it. But basically, I had a bacterial infection in my leg. It was cellulitis, and I nearly died, and it sucked. What I learned was you don't take life for granted. You make the most out of life. Ultimately, that's what you have to do. Every day is a new day. Be thankful for that day, but also at the same time, you have to, make the most of that day, because the next day is never guaranteed. And this is what I'm learning on a daily basis, is to make the most out of each day. Like, when I'm writing the book, making time for the book, making time for the gym, making time for everything. It's super important. We have to do it, or else we just wake up every day and waste life. And who the hell wants to do that, right? 1:23 p.m. and I've gotten out of work early. This was an unexpected kind of thing. As I might have mentioned in the last part of the podcast, we were a little slow, and my boss, she's super cool. She's like, "Hey, want to go home?" "Yeah, sure." This kind of just sets up my schedule for the rest of the day, where now I don't have to sit in 2 hours of traffic going home. That left turn that I mentioned earlier, non-existent. I literally already made the left turn in the first, minute that we're talking here. So that was cool. Headed home. Got to get changed to go to the gym. Then I got to get my workout in, man. That's what it's all about. Fridays, I try not to ever miss the workout. The plan usually goes as follows for my workout schedule. If you're brand new to this podcast, this is how I do it. Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Tuesday and Thursday are my off days for resting. And then if I have, like if there's a concert on a Friday, or in a rare case, because I usually won't do it, but like a Monday or a Wednesday, then I'll just move the days around to adjust. But I always get my 5-day workout day in. Every time, never fails. And that's the deal. It's got to get my workouts in. I don't try to miss it. Like, Mondays is almost one of those days where I never, ever skip. Because I feel like if you miss a Monday, it just throws your entire week off. Like, Mondays are already kind of screwed up for me anyway. Like, I wake up and I'm just like, it's Monday, right? And then you just get up and, it just doesn't work. I try to make the most of a Monday, but Mondays just don't work for me. Fridays, however, are really nice. Today is a Friday, and I'm pretty excited that it's Friday, honestly. I mean, I'm really excited. I don't have, hardly any plans for the weekend. I've got nothing that's concrete about this weekend right now, other than there's a wrestling event on Sunday, and I think my best friend Sean is coming over to watch it. And, literally, that's it. I've got nothing else going on. I thought about maybe, getting in a King's Dominion trip, so I might do that. But other than that, the weekend is just wide open. Workouts for sure, weighing in for sure. These are things that are 100% happening. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how everything progresses. So let's talk about where I'm at right now with where I'm at with my weight and all that kind of stuff, because as much as this has kind of been like a documentary, here's how my day is going, I think it's also important to talk about where my health stands right now as it pertains to my weight. Feeling super good. I was at 283 at my last weigh-in, so do the math. I honestly don't remember every podcast I ever do right offhand. So, I couldn't tell you what I told you my weigh-in was that last podcast. I'd have to, look at my FitnessPal, then cross-reference it with the date of the last podcast that didn't feature a guest, and then, figure it out from there. But I was probably easily, 4 or 5 pounds heavier than what I was now. So, not a huge change, but I'm thankful for that change. That change is still important, even if it's not, significantly, a big number. And that's okay. It's cool. I don't mind it at all. I am getting close, though, to where we're getting almost to that 100-pound mark. And this, I feel, is going to be huge for me. A huge breakthrough, not just physically, not just kind of how I feel, but also it's going to be a big emotional breakthrough for me, because anytime I've ever worked out, I've never lost 100 pounds, ever. In one workout, because I've always talked about how I've, started and stopped, 7 or 8 times with working out. In those 7 or 8 times, I've never lost 100 pounds. The most I ever lost was 50. And that's when I was doing DDP yoga, which, by the way, DDP yoga was incredible for me. I don't know why I ever stopped, to be honest with you. I really don't know why. It was working. I just stopped. I don't even know why. What the hell's wrong with me that I just up and stop? You could probably ask this question about a lot of things in my life. Gee, Gary, why did you just stop doing internet radio? Why did you stop? So many times in life I've started and stopped things. And I guess it's the bigger part of this whole subject that I'm talking about here is in life, starting and stopping something, and not sticking with it for the long term. And that is I mean, that really sucks. Like, I wish that I could go back and like I never say that I want to change so many things. Like, I was married one time before, and it didn't end well. Like, we don't have, we don't have heat with one another. Like, we're okay. We don't talk, but like, we're okay. Like, but I don't look back and say, oh God, I wish I never got married the first time, right? Like, I don't regret anything, really. I mean, I really wouldn't go back and change anything about something like that, or like bands I've been in, or things like that. But I wish I could kind of like maybe modify a few things. Like, maybe I would have hung out with radio a little bit longer than I did. I might have done that. But I don't know, like, just in life, I tend to start something, and then after so long, I don't know if it's just like I mentally get bored with it or what, but it just stops. Like, that's almost like a big fear I have with this podcast, was that, like, when I made the agreement to myself that, like, okay, hey, we're getting back into this thing called podcasting, radio, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of the same thing, kind of different, but kind of the same thing. And this was a big mental struggle in my mind, was, okay, he's going to start it, but is he going to stick with it? Like, I went and I bought an expensive recording console that I'm recording this on right now. What I like about this more than kind of the other stuff is that this is portable. That was one of the things that helped me decide that I wanted to do it, was the fact that it's portable and I'm not tied to a desk. Although the last 3 Instagram interviews I did, I was all tied to a desk, but that was a little bit different. Like, doing this is kind of cool because I have my little mixer digital recorder just sitting on my dashboard, and I'm just talking into it. Like, I'm cruising down the road. I'm on 28, which is like this hellacious road in Northern Virginia that I wouldn't wish on anybody at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Luckily, I'm on a 1:30 and I'm just coasting. But I got this digital recorder sitting on my dash, and I'm just talking to it. Like, this is like a whole new breakthrough for podcasting for me. Like, this is something that I never thought was possible for me. Yes, this stuff existed 2 or 3 years ago when I did podcasting before. Like, all these things that like are breakthrough and new to me are not like necessarily new technology or new hardware that just came out and all of a sudden I'm able to kind of, utilize these things. Like, they're just new to me, and it's opened up a whole new world for me as far as like my podcasting game. Like, coming to you 2 or 3 times in the same day and then putting them together in one big podcast. Like, I never even thought about that. Like, I'm sure there's probably 30 podcasts that come to mind if you were looking at like a podcast list of people that probably do the same thing, and I just never thought about it. Like, it was never on my radar to ever do podcasting like this. But I'm fascinated as hell about this. Like, just sitting here and sharing the thoughts of my mind, because this is the Gary Podcast, right? Gary'sPodcast.com, all that stuff. Like, it's a podcast about me. I would assume that, if you're subscribed to this, you're subscribed to me, like, you're interested. So this is the way that I give you the most inner thoughts of my mind. And as I'm talking, I'm thinking, like, my God, who the hell is listening to this? But honestly, like, you're subscribed. There must be something about me that intrigues you, I would hope. And I don't mean that in like, gee, I hope everybody's all consumed about me. But I think that, like, if you subscribe to this podcast, that means you're interested in me. And if you're interested in me, that means me sitting here just kind of riffing like on my random thoughts might be mildly interesting, because then you learn a little bit more about me. So that for those of you that are invested in kind of what I do, you're just like, all right, well, now I'm learning more about the guy. It's not just, oh, hey, here, he lost 5 pounds this week, he went to this concert, cool. Like, now we're doing it way different. Like, this is completely new for me. So I really dig that. I really do. I'm also really digging that there's no traffic. Like, I don't know that I would trade. Like, I wouldn't go and tell my boss, hey, let me come in at 3:30 in the morning so I can get off at 1:30. Like, I wouldn't do that. But this is cool as hell. Like, driving down the road, there's nobody on the road. I could never get myself out of bed to be at work by 3:30. Like, that just ain't happening. Although it's funny. It is funny to think about. It would just mean that I have to go to bed at like 6 or 7 o'clock at night, which is something I 1000% cannot commit to. I can barely commit to like going to bed at a reasonable hour, like 10 or 11, and then getting up at 4 a.m. Like, I can't. That's already a struggle for me. As crazy as that sounds, it's already a struggle. But I'm working on it. I'm working on getting better with it. What I am amazed by, though, and as I'm going down 28, there is this one exit, which is Westfields Boulevard. And, you know, this is kind of like where 28 starts to get backed up. Well, usually that's around, I don't know, 3:30, 4 o'clock. Excuse me, when I'm normally going past it. And it's 1:30, 2 hours ahead of that. And it's already jam-packed. This is wild. Like, this blows my mind. So this tells me, and I'm not no like land strategist, I don't plan out the transportation of Virginia, but this tells me that there's actually a bigger problem, and it's not just the time of day you leave, that there's a bigger issue with, I guess, maybe Interstate 66, which is what this runs into, or something that makes this road be backed up even as early as 1:30. Because that does really, like, blow my mind. Really blown away by that. I don't know. It's weird. That's a really big truck. I know you guys can't see it. Sorry. It's just like it's like a really big tractor trailer. This guy's letting me in. What a nice guy. Oversized load, you say. That's what I used to think about myself. Oversized load. Those two words could describe the old me. And now I'm really all over the place. But this is really just who I am. I'm kind of like a random person. Like, you're getting the most authentic, unedited version of me. So, like, after I release this one, I'm going to learn who's really still here and who's not, because this is really what I'm all about. This is the random kind of, like, nuances about me. Like, oh, oversized load, that means me. Like, oh, here's a big truck. Like, I really did used to think that that was what my life was going to be all my life, oversized load. Like, I used to have just imaginations that I was always going to be a big guy, and I still am. So, like, I'm not trying to, like, talk in this, like, weird past tense like I used to be fat. I still am fat. I'm just less fat. Let's get that straight. But I used to think to myself, like, you know, maybe I'm okay with being the fat guy. Like, maybe it's cool. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's cool to be fat. Like, I used to have these weird thoughts. Like, yeah, man, I could become like a bouncer or like a security guard for like a famous musician or something, and just be like the really big guy that protects them or whatever. Like, these are like random thoughts that I've had in my head, and now I'm just like, I don't want that life at all. Like, I mean, I want to be around like famous musicians, don't get me wrong, but like, I don't want to be the big like 300-pound guy anymore. And I'm not. I don't plan to go back to that. My phone's like lighting up here. Instagram blowing up. Yeah. Instagram has just been crazy. Can we talk about Instagram for a minute? I know I talk about it here and there on my podcast, but it's really just like changed the way I communicate with people in general. And you may not get this because of how I talk. Like, if you follow me on Instagram, if we met because of Instagram, this may come off as weird to you, because in general we talk and everything's cool, right? Like, I'll comment on your stuff, you'll comment on my stuff, I might send you a DM, we'll talk a little bit, and like, nothing's wrong, like, everything's cool, right? But like, it's changed completely the way that I communicate with people, how I think that I'm going to communicate with people. The whole idea of reaching out to complete strangers on the internet used to scare me. And I'm not scared anymore about it. Like, I'm meeting people that are on weight loss journeys, who are kicking ass, taking names. We've talked to a few of them on this program already. I got a couple more people that I'm talking to. I'm meeting a lot of cool people, and it's really out of my comfort zone because I can be very socially awkward. Like, if I saw you in a public place, it might be weird, like, unless we like set up to chat, like, it could be weird. And even if we set up the chat, we might sit down and it might still be really weird for a few minutes until I adjust. But that's just the socially awkwardness of my personality. But like, just finding strangers online who are on weight loss journeys and then like sending them just like a nice message, like encouragement or whatever, clicking the follow button, liking their posts, keeping in touch with these people, like, this is so cool to me. Like, it's a whole new way of living. And I make it a point to talk to these people, if not every day, almost every day. And it's just something for me that, I don't know, it's really, it's a lot of fun. Like, it's like a lot of fun, but it's also like I get to, discover different people and their interests and figure things out. Like, so many people that like they want to go on Instagram to sell stuff, which is not what I want to do. But there are so many people that they want to go on there and sell stuff, and then they just like follow people. They might like one photo, and then they pump up their numbers, and then you look at them with 10,000 followers, and like, I don't know, 100 people like their photo, maybe less than 100 people like their photo. And why is that? Well, it's because they didn't go for people that like were necessarily in their niche, and if they did, they didn't engage with them at all. Like, there are so many people that just get it all wrong. I mean, I've talked about this before. I'm not going to go back into it. You can refer to like 2 or 3 episodes ago, but it's just like, it's just so wrong. Like, I mean, I've had people that have like blown me off because they think I'm a sales guy and I'm not. And it's like, there are other people that screwed up for guys like me who legitimately, like, I'm interested and legitimately want to like keep up with these people and encourage and inspire as much as they encourage and inspire me. I'm just trying to pay that back, and often it just gets lost. You get lost in the shuffle because there's so many salespeople out there that are just trying to ruin it, which I really don't like. I've become so like anti-sales, really. Which is weird because in like 2 years I'm going to put out a book and I'm going to have to figure out how to ask people to check it out without being pushy, because I don't want to be that guy. I hate being that guy. It's not who I am. It's not how I was, it's not in my personality. And it's like I've also got a line of t-shirts that I haven't even really promoted yet because I don't want to be the sales guy. Like, how many times do you go on Instagram and see like ads for Herbalife or It Works or, and maybe these companies are fine, whatever. I've built myself on, I'm going to do this all naturally and we'll see what happens, and I think it's possible. But people get inundated so much with these sales things, and I just don't think it's right. Like, I don't like it. I don't think it's right. And as a result of it, it's just made me so anti-sales. So I'm going to try like a reverse thing, like a different way about it with the stuff that I have. Like, if you say, okay, Gary, I'm really into what you do, how can I support you? Just ask me. Like, I'm almost like, I don't want to put out links. I don't want to push stuff. Like, I almost want it to be more like, hey, Gary, do you offer stuff? Yeah, I do. I have shirts, or I have this or that. Okay, cool. How do I get it? Right? Like, to me, that's the move. I like that. Because then you're coming at me asking me about it as opposed to me begging you, hey, buy my crap, right? So all I'll say, because I'm not going to turn this into a sales podcast either, is I'm starting to sell shirts and hoodies, and eventually I'm going to have a book for sale. So, like, if you're interested, just ask. but you'll never have me like DMing, spamming you, or excessive postings about my stuff. I'm not going to link you to death with it. So I'll make that promise to you. I don't want to be that guy. I really don't want to be that guy. Because so many people get it wrong, and it bothers the hell out of me. All day long I get new follows from people, and it makes me almost want to make my profile private. But then if I do that, then more people won't see my journey, and I definitely want there to be visibility of what I'm doing, because I think it might benefit others. And I think there might be others on journeys that they may stumble across my stuff, and it may, be a breakthrough for them, just like I might stumble across one of your posts, and something that you did, a way that you worked out, was a breakthrough for me. So, I don't know, man. I thought about making it private, but then I decided, no, I'm not going to do that. So I just have to deal with these people that like spam follow me all day long, and then the moment I don't follow them back, like within a day, they unfollow automatically. And you know what? I don't even just leave it at that. Like I actually like block these people, like, because I don't want them to refollow. I had like one of these like transformation shout out accounts that followed and unfollowed me 22 times. Finally, I DM'd the person, and I don't think they ever read it, but I said, hey, so here's a screenshot of the last 22 times that you followed and unfollowed me. Like, are you like, do you want to follow me or don't you want to follow me? And then I realized, like, it all came to realization for me that, like, this person was literally just hoping that I would follow them back. And then I finally gave in, and I followed them back. 24 hours later, they unfollowed me. Again. 23rd time. And it's like, okay. So this is the business now. Follow, unfollow, pump up the numbers. Cool. Alright. I got you. I see where you're coming from. I don't like it. Anyway, I'm on my way to the gym now. Probably about 20 minutes out from the gym. And when I get there, I'm going to get on the stairs and just crush this workout. I'm going to annihilate this workout. And once I do that, then I'm going to rest for the night and get ready for tomorrow's workout, because tomorrow's workout is the last workout before my weigh-in, and that's always an important one. 4:39 p.m. I just got out of the gym. Had a great workout. It wasn't like a blow-away workout, because I've had like one like 2 days ago where I went like 244 floors, which was just obscene. But it was a great workout. I mean, I definitely did more than 200 floors. Like now, I'm at the point now where I'm hitting over 200 floors consistently on the stair stepper, and it really just blows my mind. I mean, honestly, it really blows my mind. I don't believe it when I do it. So I just talked to my cousin Larry, and we just got this really crazy idea to go to King's Dominion like tonight. So I am headed home now to get dressed so I can go pick him up so we can go to King's Dominion. I mean, that's just crazy. So King's Dominion, for those of you that are not from Virginia, is a theme park. Think like Six Flags. It's better than Six Flags, let's be honest. It's not Cedar Point, but it's owned by the same people that own Cedar Point. I mean, it's a cool park, man. It's been around since like the early 70s, I want to say. Yeah, I think the early 70s. Cool park. I just renewed my season pass, and I get a free ticket to go to the park. So, I mean, I already have a free ticket, but I'm giving it to my cousin so he can go, and we'll just go and enjoy it together. Yeah, it sounds like fun. So that's what my Friday night just became. My Friday night prior to this was probably going to be me sitting at home pondering what was for dinner, because even though I've lost all this weight, I still like sit around and think about like, oh, you know, what do I want for dinner? You know, like I still ponder these things. I don't obsess. Like I don't, like, life doesn't stop so I can strategize and ponder at what I'm going to eat for dinner and then salivate over it. Like I don't. It used to be such an appointment thing for me when I was big. I was always like thinking about like, ooh, what am I going to eat? You know, where am I going to go to get this food? And this was after, by the way, I'd already gotten home after driving an hour from work, stopping at McDonald's, getting 2 or 3 McDoubles with extra mac sauce on them, and then going home to my wife and having dinner like nothing was wrong. Like, I had a real addiction problem with McDonald's. I mean, it got really, really bad. So, yeah. So, my night was likely going to be going home, thinking about what I was going to have for dinner, maybe have a beer, relax, and go to sleep. And now it's all changed. I got my workout. Now I'm going to ride roller coasters at night. Probably eat not so great pizza because it's free with my season pass. And then I'm going to come home and go to sleep. And then I'm going to get up tomorrow and I'm going to work out again because that's just what I do. So, I mean, that's the deal. I mean, that's that's what I signed up for, essentially. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't know. The rest of this weekend is kind of just unsure because I know, like, tomorrow for sure, 100% I'm going to the gym. But then beyond that, it's like, what am I doing? Like, tomorrow night, what am I doing? It's Saturday. Like, there are times where I'll think to myself, God, I wish I had nothing going on for the weekend. And then there's other times where I have nothing going on for the weekend, and I'm like, why don't I have something going on for the weekend? Like, you guys see me on Instagram, and I'm at, like, a concert, or I'm here, or I'm there. Like, I'm all over the place. And that's all by design. I mean, that's me. I'm doing that to me. Like, I make the choice to go there, but it's like I talked about earlier with my leg and nearly dying. Like, this is the choice that I made. I made that choice to be active and to do a lot of things to keep myself busy and to stay out of the house, because the last thing I wanted to be was somebody that just lays up in the house all the time. Even if I said, okay, I'm going to stay at home and do nothing, but I'll still go to the gym, like, I just didn't want that life. I still don't want that life. So, like, now I'm all over the place, and it's my own doing. And sometimes I wish I would slow down. Sometimes I wish I would stop and just say, dude, like, do nothing today. Just relax. Like, stop being crazy. You know, like, you're a lunatic. But I can't help it. Like, it's just what happens. By the way, Luke Combs on the radio. I don't know if you guys can hear this. Oh, it's so good. Luke Combs. This is the part where I somehow get into music. Luke Combs is amazing. Like, if you've never listened to Luke Combs, please, like, when you finish this podcast, will you please go on Apple Music or Spotify or Google Play, or go to a local record store. Well, I know they don't have those. Go to, like, Best Buy or Target and go buy Luke Combs' album. Like, this guy is amazing. Listen to this guy. Hold on. How good is that, man? Luke Combs. He's got a smooth voice. He's a throwback to, like, older country, but not in, like, that pandering dare way, like, because I don't like a lot of that older stuff. And I know a lot of people do. Like, I don't want to disrespect people that like it. I just don't like it. I'm like the odd man out. I like the newer, poppier country. That's just what I like. But Luke Combs is, like, different. Like, he's like Chris Stapleton different. Like, he's like Zach Brown different. Like, he's gonna blow up for sure. And I'm pretty sure I've had this discussion once, but I know a lot of new people are listening. So, like, There you get my Luke Combs obsession again. I'm sorry for those of you who've been listening since day one and have heard this conversation at least 2 or 3 times on this podcast. I can't help myself. This is just who I am, guys. Like, I have weird quirks. I apologize. Sometimes I repeat myself. I don't mean to do it. I'm not trying to beat you over the head with anything. It's just what happens. I forget I mentioned something or whatever. I don't know. Sing it, Luke. What do you got, cuz? Out. Yeah, there it is. I can't sing anymore. That's funny. I used to be a singer in a band like 10 years ago, and I can't do it anymore. Like, it's probably just because I haven't practiced in a long time, but like, I don't have the ability to sing so great anymore. It's probably because I don't practice, and I don't know that I was ever great the first time around, to be honest with you. I don't think I ever was, but I don't know. I had fun when I did it, though. I miss it all the time. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, sometimes I sit around and I wish that, like, I still played guitar actively and still wrote songs actively, and it's like, by the way, I didn't have to give it up for anything. I just don't have time for it. Like, I want to make time for it at some point. And I know there's that whole I'm gonna, and all that stuff. It's just, sometimes you just got to do it. And I think that that's ultimately what it's going to come down to for me, is I'm just going to have to just do it. And I will. At some point, I will start writing music again. 100% I will. I just don't know when, but I want to. I really want to. It's been 10 years. My cousin and I did something last year where we recorded like 2 songs, and, you know, his schedule kind of got busy, my schedule kind of got busy, and we kind of like stopped. I wish we didn't stop, but we did. Maybe we'll go back and do it at some point. I don't know. But I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out at some point. I definitely want to write some solo stuff too. Like, at some point, there's just songs that I want to write by myself too, and I'm definitely going to get to that point at some point. I just don't know when. So I've kind of like run the gamut of my whole life in one podcast episode. I hope I haven't like blown everything in one show with this different format I'm doing, but I don't really know what else to talk about. It's just me. This is the type of stuff I think about on a daily basis. It's just really what it is. So anyway, I hope you guys have loved this podcast. Like, I hope that it was cool for you guys. I think I'm going to get out of here. There's like 4 parts to this podcast, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope it all makes sense. And please let me know in the feedback. Like, you know, send me a DM on Instagram, email me, Gary'sPodcast@gmail, Twitter me, Facebook me, I don't know, Snapchat me, whatever you guys do, and give me some feedback on the show, please. I want to know, did it just sound like a jumbled mess, or was it actually like some kind of like weird, like groundbreaking podcast? I mean, I don't know. Let me know. Thanks for listening, guys. I really appreciate it.